Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would just like to apologize for the watermarks in advance on the presentation. Unfortunately, Canva Premium wasn't quite fitting into the student budget at the moment. But yeah, I wish I could be there today with all of you, especially for the celebration afterwards. But I will definitely have to make up for it and have a drink aside for everyone. Anyways, before I get carried away, let's get to the presentation. Okay, so to understand what I'm going to be covering with you today, there are three crucial elements I'll be discussing with you. These consist of the background to the football transfer system and the reason as to why it started, the factors affecting the price of players' movement in the transfer system, and lastly, the economics of transfers. So why does football have transfer windows? To answer the question, I'm going to give you a quick background of the football transfer system to first give you a better understanding. The transfer system has taken many different forms over the years. Before 1885, players held the bargaining power due to there being no professional contracts. So the best players would move whenever they wanted to, whichever club they wanted to. The Football Association then decided to take action in 1885 for the first time, as they realized that club hopping was having a negative effect on competition. So the concept of football transfers then first came into existence in England after the Football Association introduced player registration in 1885. This was merely to control professional players by introducing a player registration system. So basically players were then not allowed to move for free, giving clubs the bargaining power to retain the players' registration and offer them a contract or sell them to another club. So this system was put in place to give smaller clubs a chance and keep competition alive. In 1997, the Freedom Contract was then introduced, where the players were now allowed to make the best deals, with any club offering terms after fulfilling their previous contractual obligations. This allowed both the players and club a certain amount of bargaining power. Okay, so this then takes us to the modern transfer system. With the modern football transfer system, a transfer window was created in 2002 to ensure a partial stabilization of club squads during the season and to stop damaging smaller clubs financially. There are two transfer windows during the season, one at the end of the season for 12 weeks and a short one halfway through the season for about a month. This gives clubs the opportunity to both prepare their squads for the season and to make transfers if needed for any positions needed halfway through the season. So players' movement. So for all you football fans, as we know, every transfer window surprises us with unexpected transfers at unbelievable prices, such as Jack Grealish recently being bought for £100 million from Manchester City, or even Neymar for £190 million back in 2017 by PSG. We often tend to overlook the economics behind this though. Like any other market, the player transfer market too works on the simple economic principle, where forces of demand and supply drive the price. So, the first factor, talent and statistical records. Numbers never lie. A player's talent can be judged quite accurately via his statistical records. Goals for an attacker, assists for a midfielder, clearances for a defender, and clean sheets for a goalkeeper speak a lot in themselves. Past statistics help to determine what to expect from a player. Players with the better numbers are thus highly valued opposed to players with unfavourable statistics, as they are seldom demanded and are generally priced lower. Take this graph for example. This is a perfect example of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, as I'm sure most of you know, and depicts his transfer price varying with his goal ratio at different clubs over the years. Number two, the recent performance of the player. So there is no factor more important than a player's performance and his form in his current team. It is the main driving factor that catches attention and plays a big role in luring managers to purchase that player for their club. Players who have been playing well tend to have a higher market value in the transfer market. This price table below is a perfect example to showcase how recent performances play a crucial role and matter even more than overall performances. All 5 of these players from AS Monaco were sold at much higher prices than they were bought for. This was due to their success in the 2017 Champions League campaign, which saw their market value increase significantly. These increases went up just after only just one season. Age. So while the player's performance plays a central role in determining the transfer price, another major factor is the age of a player. Since physical fitness and health directly impact a player's performance and durability, it is a big factor to the clubs. The age of a player and his price in the transfer market are inversely related. The greater the age, the lower the price generally. No club would want to invest in a player who is past his prime and at his physical best, and vice versa with a young player who is capable but lacks the experience and has not reached his full potential yet. This graph is just another example of Carlos Tevez. Number 4, fan apparel, net worth, and commercial value. Players with higher popularity amongst the fans are valued more than others. Take Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. He was signed back by Manchester United at the age of 36 and has already derived a huge fan base to Manchester United and helped them improve revenue generation and Manchester United's market standing. When he was at Juventus, he transferred in 2018. When he was at Juventus after he transferred in 2018, the club was able to recover Cristiano's entire transfer fee of £85 million by the sales of Ronaldo's jerseys in just the first season alone. Number 5, the length of their current contracts and release clause. So a release clause is an element in a player's contract that determines the minimum amount that a player would demand, that a club would demand to let go of the player. So a higher release clause leads to higher transfer fee. So really, this is to try and drive away prospective buyers. So the length of the contract also matters because as the years on the contract go on, the value of the clause depreciates. So basically, as a player's contracts move closer to the expiration, the value of the player reduces. Leroy Sané, the German youngster, made a move to Bayern Munich just before his contract was about to expire in 2021 and was sold for only £54 million, which was an absolute steal for the young German attacker, for those of you who know him. On the screen here, just a few more examples of some of the biggest release clauses in football to give you an indication of how clubs try to drive away buyers. Okay, factor number 6. So international performance of the player. International tournaments are very often where players are discovered and signed by clubs based on their performance on the international stage. This is due to the tournaments being an important platform for the players to show their ability to perform under pressure and adapt to a team. A perfect example of this would be James Rodriguez in the 2014 World Cup. The Colombian played for AS Monaco and came into the limelight in the 2014 World Cup. He was the top goal scorer and by the next season was signed by Spanish giants Real Madrid. Number 7, player consistency and injury history. Clubs value talent. However, inconsistent and injury-prone players is what they stay clear of. Players who do not play regularly may not be valued at their potential for sole reason they lack on-field experience and are inconsistent. This adversely affects their transfer price. Players who are susceptible to injuries are more of a liability to the club rather than an asset and are valued lowly. So this then brings us to our 8th and last factor, which is position on the field. So attackers and midfielders are generally more expensive than defenders. Even the best of the best defenders are valued less than attackers. The stats even show this. The record transfer fee for a defender is £71 million, opposed to an attacker, which is £195 million. The difference is nearly triple. Versatility of attacking players and midfielders is the answer as to why they're so much more expensive. Okay, so that takes us to the end of our 8 factors. Now we are on to the transfer rules and the European Commission. So transfer rules in the football have been subject to an informal agreement between the European Commission and international football bodies since 2001. The 2001 agreement was a political agreement which today is still guiding sports authorities in the adoption of rules related to the transfer of players. So the main reason for this agreement was basically because they needed to try and find an appropriate balance between a player's fundamental right to free movement and the stability of contracts between clubs and players. So in general, a player registered in a club is part of the club's assets. Often third parties such as agents and investors buy a stake in the future value of a player on the transfer market. They acquire an economic right over the career of a professional player. So third-party ownership endangered the fairness of competition for some clubs. However, as third parties may have interest in manipulating the results of the game, influencing the behavior of players, they have stake in. So, with the introduction of the new law, FIFA have put into effect a complete ban of third-party ownership. This rule prohibits clubs and players from assigning to a third party and any rights or participation in the compensation payable for the future transfer of a player. Okay, so financial fair play essentially was established to prevent professional football clubs spending more money than they earn in the pursuit of success, and in doing so not getting into financial problems which might threaten their long-term survival. However, financial fair play is temporarily suspended due to after effects of COVID-19. UEFA is reportedly scrapping financial fair play and will replace it with a new system on financial control, which will give clubs more freedom over their spending. With the free movement of capital, this aims to encourage economic growth by enabling capital to be invested efficiently and removed restrictions on capital movements and payments both between the EU member states and with third countries. So this then takes me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed my talk as much as I did presenting it to all of you. And yeah, I hope you all have a great holiday.